Hey everybody, old Captain here, and it's we're at Lake Coeur d'Alene, and I'm wearing my extra douchey shirt so I can seem the top 1%, if not just a regular old douche. And I even showered and shaved because people were complaining that I went straight from bed to starting to film, so I put on deodorant and made myself look presentable. Anyway, we're going to talk about the Black James Bond. And this is an important lesson, not just for its political value, but also a lesson I think that'll prove beneficial to my black listeners in the black community. And that is why can't we have a Black James Bond? Well, let me ask you this: do you want a white Shaft? How many of you would go watch a remake of the A-Team where B.A. Baracus was a white guy, right? And we could go John Creasy, which I guess is a little bit more of an obscure reference if you know who John Creasy is. Man from U.N.C.L.E., Denzel Washington. What if it was a pasty white guy, Herman Shlomo? I guess that would be more Jewish. But in any case, it's not. Don't listen to what the media in Hollywood is telling you. For the most part, all of us, regardless of race, gender, or whatever, we all like James Bond as a white guy. Shit, I was pissed that Daniel Craig. James Bond is a brunette, dark, brown-eyed, dark, tall, handsome. That's who he should be. He should be a brunette with brown eyes, right? So I was very upset that they fielded him as just a guy with a different hair color. Many of you guys were as well. And I think a lot of, especially if I've read my community right, pretty much everybody across the racial and gender spectrums don't want a black James Bond, just as we wouldn't want a white Shaft or a white B.A. Baracus. So what's happening here? Well, Hollywood, as you know, is kind of more on the lefty side of things. And they are also trying to push this social re-engineering envelope where there is no more race. And it's kind of the antithesis of diversity. It's the opposite of diversity. I like Shaft. I like the A-Team. I like James Bond being the brunette guy. A tall, dark, Scottish, and short, pasty white guy here. Kind of dream, right? We all like we want Wonder Woman to be Wonder Woman. And if any of you listen to Chris Betcheloff, he's all things geekery, you start to see this as well in the comic book thing. They're starting to take different comic book characters and turning them into predominantly black men. And one, what was it, Green Lantern, I think, is gay now too? What the fuck? So what you have is this big social leftist, what could be the epitome of cultural Marxism, pushing everybody to be, there is no diversity. Everybody can be the same. Everybody's interchangeable. And to quote, what was the movie? The Incredibles, when everybody's special, no one will be. And that's the sad thing. We are really genuinely losing our real diversity, our real flavors, where there's different characters who have achieved different things. Of course, it's James Bond. This is fictional, and comic books, obviously fictional. But that is where we are really getting whitewashed. And there's going to be, oh yeah, why not? Okay, it'll be a Hispanic guy, and then there'll be a Muslim James Bond, and then you will have lost the original art form. I know this is taking another step. Let's say we take the statue of David and we start painting it blue. Because why not? It should be blue. Why not we start carving his eyes a little bit, make him an Asian? Why? Diversity uber alles, when it isn't even diversity. Now you've ruined this piece of art that humanity, from whatever sector came from, that has created. But there's some more nefarious going on, and I want, for those of you in the black community and my black readership, subscribership, to watch this, because it's nefarious, it's evil, it's disgusting. And that is where we take, it's not good enough that you create your own stuff. No, you have to co-opt it. In other words, the black community, I'm focusing on it because we're talking about Black James Bond, you can't come up with something like James Bond. You're just not good enough. So you have to go and co-opt the Green Lantern. You have to go and co-opt James Bond. And you got to think about what these leftists and liberals are saying to you. They're saying, you're so talentless. You're so incapable of creating something of artistic value that you can't do it on your own. You need to go and have someone hand it over to you. You have to have this created by Whitey, and then now you could go ahead and do your version of it. And that's got to be insulting, because as you know, it's not like the black community hasn't been talented in the arts. Jazz, music primarily. Again, we reference Shaft. And there's this cult film, I forgot it. What was the name of it? it was along the same genre of 70s, who's the big D, da-da-da-da-da. But he goes to space. It's this low budget, what was the name of it? Whatever. The whole point is that through just normal course of life, through normal course of living your life in action and letting the cultures do what they want to do best, we will get art. We will get film. We will get theater. We will get actors. We will get characters that come from the black community. They come from the Hispanic. Zorro. Antonio Banderas, he's Spanish. Whatever. Okay, what? Zorro's going to be played by a white guy? Even more I know this is another obscure reference. Jake Gyllenhaal, I don't know how to pronounce his name. Prince of Persia? Dude ain't fucking Persian. Why don't you get a guy from Iran to play that? And then the ultimate insult, this is the reverse. I never understood this in the old Western movies. Why couldn't you get Indians to play Indians? The movie Geronimo, it was played by this guy. He was like the all-American, blonde-haired, blue-eyed Scandinavian fuck. And he played Geronimo. It's like, really? So please, all races, but predominant, that's long ago. That was in the 50s, 60 years ago. What I want, not just the black community, but all minorities to realize is what the left is saying when they're saying we have to take a character that is white or created by predominantly white community or white culture, and then co-opt it, and then now Green Arrow is Hispanic, and now my comic book knowledge is very limited. Flash is black, the Flash, and then Superman is gay. That's going to be an insult because you obviously, that's what they're saying, you obviously can't come up with superheroes like this. You obviously can't come up with characters like James Bond. You obviously can't come up with fictional characters, books, movies, theater, plays, and all that on your own. So you need Whitey to lend out their characters. And that should be insulting because we all know, again, John Creasy, that's like one of the most badass dudes, one of the most badass characters. Different races will come up with their own characters. You don't need affirmative action. So the real issue with the black James Bond, and don't worry. The second they come up with a black James Bond, no one's going to see it, even black people. It would be the equivalent of a white Shaft. They're just going to torpedo. There will be one it could be a great movie. The actor could be wonderful. But I'm not going to go see a movie with a black James Bond because James Bond isn't black. I'm kind of pissed off they made Felix a black guy. Not because I hate black people. Because Felix is supposed to be this tall, lanky Texan. That's how it was written. And I know there should be some liberty taken. But don't worry. For all of you who are worried about James Bond, becoming a black guy, and then the Lord knows what next James Bond would be a gay Muslim. For all of you worried about, don't worry. Because most people, despite what the politically correct thought police and what media and Hollywood tell you, they're not going to go see it. And I don't care how much... Oh, you're a racist if you don't see the black James Bond, and da-da-da. People just aren't going to waste their time because they don't want a black James Bond. They want, if I could suggest to Hollywood once again, a brunette, brown-eyed, tall James Bond. Opposite of me. Anyway, so just wanted to pass that on. Best of luck to all of you. Toodles.